of the inventor or the artist or the poet or the intellectual or whatever. We don't crush the individual human spirit. So it's at once both a liberal project and a democratic project, and a social project, if you want, a socialist project. And this was the intellectual climate in which the European Union was born. Now, most people don't realise this. Most of my British friends that I speak to, who've never had the opportunity to study in depth as I have in intellectual history, don't realise all this. And all the debates that are going on in this election period of the British general election, again, I mean, a lot of the people of Britain are now realising that actually it's going to be tragic if we leave the European Union because it will have disastrous consequences, and has already. What we need to do intellectually is work out exactly what it is that we're in danger of losing. And I would say what we're in danger of losing is precisely this middle ground, this socially mindful, individually responsible kind of view of economic and social thought, which is represented by these two brilliant thinkers, Pesch and Gundlach, who are the intellectual sages of today, as it happens, the 9th and 10th of November, just by coincidence. I mean, I didn't plan this out, but, obviously the invisible hand worked it out for this general election period. So I want to just, give thanks for their work, because by enabling the European Union to stand for that, this is why Europe rejects Trumpism and that extreme barbarism of healthcare arrangements in America, where you get, I don't know, I saw a thing like $80,000 to fix one broken ankle. I mean, it's become a money-driven economy where without human solidarity. Ideally, what we need in Europe is a kind of national health service, continent-wide. I will work towards that tirelessly. And we have a sort of similar thing with different insurance systems, but I think it should be even more like a national health service. And all the good ideas that the socialist tradition had, the liberal socialist tradition, the Fabian Society, etc., they're catered for within this wider perspective of social solidarity that these genuine Catholic Universalist intellectuals believed in. The other thing I want to add is that in the Quadragesimo Anno document of 1931, fundamentally based on the ideas of Pesch and Gundlach, there's a wonderful paragraph that extrapolates from this doctrine of solidarity to international relations, and said that it's very important that nations show solidarity one with the other. Some nations are rich, some are poor, and that therefore it's very important that they come together and make treaties, peace treaties, alliances, because that's a way of showing international solidarity, which comes from this same idea of love. So that if I'm, sitting in a wealthy nation and the people of Haiti are all starving and eating breadcrumbs and they've got earthquakes going on, we need to help them. That's where the whole idea of aid comes from, development aid. But it's where the European Union came from, because the idea of solidarity between nations was we create an alliance, a perpetual peace treaty, which can't be broken, and we say we'll never more go to war with each other. This is a concretization of love in action, if you want. Now, obviously, and that's what we're in danger of losing. That was there in that 1931 text, and it's been continued ever since by the other papal encyclicals. It's there in the thought of, if you study it, of John Paul II, who I met once in a conference at the Vatican, not to shake his personal hand, but in a conference where we were only a little ways from him, and I heard him speak. And also it was continued by Pope Benedict, who is a great scholar and intellectual and knows this tradition inside out. He is in that same mould. He was a German intellectual, like Pesch and Gundlach. And it's being continued by the current Pope, who's Latin American from Argentina, Francis, who again understands this whole tradition that truth requires of us love, which requires of us social solidarity, concern for the poor. And this is where the whole idea of liberation theology has come up. But instead of it being a threat to the church, it's actually the bedrock on which the church is based. But liberation theology should be a double-edged sword. We have to liberate the rich as much as liberate the poor. We shouldn't forget Christ had friends on both sides. And, there's no point just bashing the rich. We have to work with the rich to transform them into places of generosity and compassion and wisdom. And this is kind of Marianne Williamson's point. She's not anti-capitalism, she's just anti-unethical capitalism. It's as if she's read these teachings. Although she's Jewish herself, she's an intellectual of great stature, I think, Marianne. And she would totally understand where these guys are coming from. So anyway, that's what I wanted to start by saying. I want to share this excitement. I mean, I knew about these guys, but I've been studying them in the last week in detail. And I think it's exciting, really, because that's the intellectual foundation of the best bit that the European Union stands for, a lot of it. Then we have, also I want to talk about what I've been doing this last week, of course, is sharing this manifesto I've written for Bremain, as I call it, or Remain, if you want. Brexit does Brexit, so I do Bremain. It's a balancing force. The most important parts of that manifesto, if you haven't read it already, I gave a talk on this last week, but it's revolutionary, but in the sense that Gundlach's work was. It's revolutionary in that I'm proposing that parliamentarians should swear an oath of truth-telling. I mean, that should be just so basic, we shouldn't even have to ask. But obviously they're misbehaving so badly, the Boris Johnson cronies and so on, lying deliberately, strategically, people like Dominic Cummings, you can't trust a single thing they say. It's all forked words. So a truth oath, and if they break the oath, then immediately they're sacked. They lose office that day when the lie comes out, right? And I proposed how this could be done, sort of what mechanisms and things. Another thing I proposed, which is very important, is that the Privy Council's work be made transparent. For the first time in history, we can no longer afford to have a Privy Council that meets in secret and plots, against this or that. For many reasons. This is a revolutionary proposal. One of the reasons is that we, the British people, need to see what is being discussed behind our backs at high level of policy making. Second, we need to be able to gauge the veracity of the people that are saying it. So I'm also proposing that the truth oath be also in place in the Privy Council. So that if you're a Privy Councillor and you lie, you immediately lose your office. No ifs, buts, you're out the door. The monarch, whoever it is, and I'm thinking soon it'll be Charles, who I've met and who I greatly admire for most of what he's done in his life. Like all of us, we've made some mistakes, but he's, I think, going to be a great king. Or whoever succeeds. They can't have people on their Privy Council that lie. I mean, that's absurd. Sack them. Because if you're a monarch, let's say, I don't know, a monarch of whatever hue, Elizabeth I, Elizabeth II, it doesn't matter. You can't afford to have councillors that are sitting there lying to you. They should be out the door. I don't care if he's the Prime Minister. He shouldn't be on the Privy Council, and he wouldn't be, according to my revolutionary proposal, if he's lied, which he did. So that's the second very important thing. Also, the Privy Council hearings should be televised. They should be on Parliament TV, like the ordinary Parliament channel, because if that's the venue where very vital decisions are being made, then, okay, that needs to be for the public, because either we're a democracy or we're not. If we're a democracy, we, the people, are paying for all that stuff. We have the right to see what they're saying behind our backs. So stick it on telly. That's what we did with Parliament. Let's do it with the Privy Council. Now, I'm not saying, hypersensitive blah blah should be in public. No, you can have your special committees of the Privy Council, like the Judicial Committee and so on, the Intelligence Committee. They have them. But when the matter comes back to the Privy Council, it has to be told the truth. Okay, the other thing that I'm very strongly in favour of, and if you listen to my Bremain manifesto, which I'm proposing should be adopted at this general election by all the Bremain parties, is that there should be a written constitution for the UK. The fact that we don't have one means we can be hijacked and taken over basically by anyone with enough money. What's happened is the UK has been bought through the manipulation of media, the manipulation of, the internet media, but also then the buying of airtime for the BBC and the other channels. All done very skillfully by people like Steve Bannon and his cronies. They know how to manipulate the media. He was trained at Breitbart. They've done it successfully, and Brexit is their baby. Well, no, sorry. If we have a written constitution, it will be much harder to literally hijack or take over in a sort of intellectual coup with things like Brexit, which is what's happened. So we need to have a constitutional convention immediately that a Bremain government takes office. When the last great liberal reforming government took power in 1832, the first thing they did was abolish slavery. They increased the voting rights of people, and they brought in the modern British state, effectively, after years of Tory war fighting. And that was made possible because of the intellectual work of the Romantics, like Shelley, and who was a great liberal thinker, and Byron, who, again, was a great spokesperson for not just liberalism, but for liberation. In his case, he helped the Greeks get rid of their Ottoman rulers who'd been oppressing them for literally centuries, and gave his life in that cause. So yes, a written constitution. It's long, long overdue. And, well, how do we get the parties to accept this? I've sent a copy of my Bremain manifesto to leading Liberal Democrats, leading Labour people, leading Greens, and Change UK, and Plaid Cymru, and SNP, and so on. I really appreciate what Heidi Allen and Joe Swinson and the Green Party and Plaid Cymru have done by creating this alliance. But I don't think it goes far enough. I don't think that alliance, they've only got 60 seats where they're going to win, hopefully. It won't be enough to stop Boris Johnson. Because of his control of the right-wing press, every Daily Express, Daily Mail, Telegraph article and Times, where it's more subtle, is a rant not to vote for Corbyn. They like to attack Corbyn because he's their straw man, and that's why they've kept him in power for so long. You see, in a seriously intelligent kind of constitutional situation, the Labour movement would have realised that Corbyn, although he may be a lovely man and we can admire his work and so on, he's not going to ever win the kind of mainstream support that Tony Blair was able to pull together. In other words, he'll never appeal to the vast majority of British citizens in a way that will get him elected with a national landslide. So they have to find somebody else. That's just a fact of modern democracy. But the fact that's not happened is directly because the Conservative Party have effectively been propping him up by making him so kind of ridiculous and attacking him so much that everyone then rallies to his support. So it's a very skillful propagandistic psychological manipulation that's been done on the British Labour movement. I maintain the Tories deliberately want Corbyn in power because they know he's unelectable to the vast majority of people. So they've kept him as a straw man. And they keep attacking him because he's so easy to attack, right? So that's all they'll do. And when you attack him, then people rally around and say, no, I know him, he's lovely, I had a drink with him in the pub, he's a great guy. Well, of course he is. But he's simply not electable to the vast majority of the people of Britain. I believe that's a fact. And therefore, the Corbyn only, Saint Corbyn, the holy rebel, the most attacked man in history kind of movement, will not get an overall majority of this coming general election. I'm sorry. I mean, I wish, if I'm proved wrong, and there's a vast vote in his favour, and he wins seats everywhere, right, left and centre, then I will eat my hat. I don't know how I'll do it, but I might eat some of it. However, I don't think it's going to happen because, as I say, the Tory control of the media is so vast that they're pumping out, don't vote Corbyn, don't vote Corbyn, that I think enough people are going to be brainwashed. Unfortunately, people still read the Daily Mail, the Express and the Telegraph from all walks of life. And, one of the things that's said, of course, is Corbyn, the dangerous socialist, is going to... I mean, that stupid Tory MP was saying he's going to do what Stalin did and start shooting people. That's the ridiculous propaganda that they're going for. And people will believe it because they've been brainwashed to think socialists are evil. Communists are like the devil incarnate. Socialists are something like junior devils. And only the real right-wing Tories, they're the centre ground. And then right of them you've got really nasty fascist types. That's the thought world that they've defined as normality. and in this, Corbyn is one of the junior devils. So nobody in their right mind is going to vote for him. Well, I'm afraid, my friends, that is such a recalibration of the number line of politics that it's really... you have to have studied political science as I have to see what a ridiculous rewriting that is. For me, as I've said, coming from a study of this Catholic social thought, if we're going to start with the premise that love is what should guide our political decisions, and solidarity between the classes instead of eternal class hatred should govern our moral choices in politics, then we end up from a different place than either Corbyn or the hard left around Corbyn or the hard right around Johnson and the Brexit fanatics. We end up somewhere in the middle, a sort of moderate centre-left, green, conscious politics based on love, which is the Liberal Democrats, the traditional Fabian socialist movement, the Green movement, and Change UK, and all those moderate conservatives that, like Dominic Grieve, they're good people. Suddenly their party has been stolen from them. I mean, I think they should, God knows, they should be forming a Christian Democrat party or something to put forward that tradition that I'm talking about here, that moderate, political view based on love and solidarity. Anyway, so why isn't that being talked about? Well, of course, in the media, which is dominated by these extremist voices of who want Brexit, who are in the pay of billionaires, who have hijacked the British state because we don't have a written constitution. They're probably holding the Queen to literal blackmail, saying, unless you sign here, we'll expose X, Y, Z, what Andrew did with Epstein and stuff. And it's terrified her. I think the Queen's like a frightened rabbit with her head in the headlights, and she daren't stand up against them. She ought to be fasting like me against Brexit and say, look, I'll abdicate. I'm not doing Brexit. You can shoot me if you want. It's like in Battlestar Galactica when they forced the president to sign dreadful stuff and threaten to shoot him. It's the same thing. Well, no, I'm saying stand up to these idiots in the knowledge of that truth is about love. Someday we all have to stand up for that. Who would lead it? Well, I don't know. Bercow looks like he's out of a job at the moment. He's no longer speaker. He's come out as anti-Brexit. Well, I think we should have Bercow as the head of this bigger Bremain grouping, and it needs to include the SNP, and it needs to include the Alliance Party, the SDLP Sinn Fein in Northern Ireland. It needs to include Plaid Cymru, and it needs to include the Labour Party, and the Liberal Democrats, Change UK, and the Greens. We all need to come together. This is about saving, our country, right, and seeing off these fanatics. I believe there's enough moral decency in Corbyn and his circle. They're left socialists. They understand what's at stake enough to join such a Bremain alliance. And the deal would be, okay, so we get an alliance standing, we win control at the next parliament, we stop Boris Johnson ever becoming Prime Minister. We have him tried, and we have the evidence of that Russian suppressed commission report published, day one. And we put Dominic Cummings, in the dock as well. These are criminals, these people. If Corbyn, it doesn't matter who's Prime Minister. You can have a vote on that in the Remain Parliament. If Corbyn wins enough votes, he's Prime Minister. If somebody else does, they do. I think Bercow should be asked to lead that Bremain alliance. Now, I know that's a radical thought, but he's no longer Speaker. He doesn't have to stick by that rule of non-engagement. He could stand in some neutral seat, like his old seat, Buckingham, why not? But this time as a Bremain candidate. He wouldn't have to be in a party, he could be independent. Because this Bremain alliance, Dominic Grieve was standing as an independent. These people should stand as independents, and I think I think Bercow would make a great Prime Minister of this Bremain alliance if he got into power. Let Joe Swinson have a cabinet post, let Corbyn have a cabinet post, let dear old Ian Blackford, I think he's called, the amazing SNP guy who's a genius and a great moral person, he has a cabinet post. The Plaid Cymru woman in Parliament, there are several, have a cabinet post, and the Green lady, Minister of Environment, Caroline Lucas of my town of Brighton. This would be a true rainbow coalition. I think Bercow would make a great Prime Minister. His job would be to enact the second referendum. By all means, send Jeremy Corbyn off to try and get a better deal, and when he comes back with a few little tweaks, then that's fine. That's what goes before the people. You either have that deal or you have Remain. Let the British people decide. That referendum would have to be done in a way that Scotland was happy, which is, if Scotland votes again to Remain, then, and England votes not, well, Scotland can't be forced out against its will. Scotland will remain in the EU, but will therefore have to decouple from the rest of the UK. That could be put into the second referendum. And I think Bercow would be the man to work on this. Anyway, who do I have no power, no authority, no influence. I'm merely a philosopher. I'm merely the coordinator of philosophers of peace here in Europe. I'm merely, an academic, historian, an intellectual. I'm just a kind of latter-day Gundlach who has nothing behind me, But I do think I have the sort of truth and, the power of love. That's all I have. It's all we all have. The alternative to what I'm proposing is that Scotland will absolutely go independent next year. And to Nicola Sturgeon I say greetings, from someone that loves your country and lived there for 7 glorious years in a castle on Argyll. I could do without the rain, but I love Scotland, and I have great reverence for the integrity of the Scottish people, and I know they are going to be leaving the United Kingdom unless we can do a miraculous transformation. The only possible way to keep this UK together is literally to appeal to the saints. For that, we have to seriously get our skates on. We have to utterly squash this Johnson coup, which is what it is, at the ballot box. So you have to get every single person you know out to vote on December the 12th. You have to register them, make sure they can vote. Get the homeless people off the street to register, etc. Don't just take this as read, because the media will want to promote. There's no point voting because the Tories are going to win anyway. No point voting for Corbyn because he's mad. No point voting for Green because, well, they're not going to win. No point voting for Lib Dems because, well, that woman's very mouthy. The media are trivialising the whole thing to make it a done deal. But actually, folks, we still have this power. It's called democracy. Use it. I will be voting, and I will be voting tactically. We should all vote for the if this Bremain alliance can't be got together in time, please help. I'm working on it. We still have 6 weeks or whatever. But if not, then do it mentally. Work out who was the last, in the last election in 2017, and that's the one you should use. who won the highest number of Remain votes? Was it Lib Dems? Was it Labour? Was it Green? Was it whatever? And vote for them. It's got to be done. So, for instance, in my constituency where I vote in Argyll, it was SNP won, and second was the Tories, and Labour were nowhere to be seen, and Lib Dems nowhere to be seen. So, I have to vote SNP. I don't mind voting SNP because I think they've done a great job of opposing Brexit, and many of their policies are visionary, like getting rid of Trident, putting Scotland on course to become a decent, civilised nation, a member of the European Union, and so on. I love their policies on most things. Can't think of anything I don't. So I'm voting tactically for the SNP, and I would urge all my friends, wherever you live in the UK, to work that out and vote tactically for the party that won the most votes last time, that's a Remain party. I want to come on to Trump. By the way, in the new constitution I'm proposing, there should be two versions of it. We should write a written constitution for the UK as if Scotland is staying in it, and we should write a version of the UK as if Scotland's leaving. I think the Scots have to have a second referendum. They are going to demand it. They deserve it. And we don't know, how it will go. I suspect the Scots will vote this time to leave the UK, and I think that's karma. As a philosopher, I see karma when it looks like karma, it's karma. And the English state, which has essentially sort of taken over the UK, has some blood on its hands, some bad karma. And I think that therefore the Scots are going to see through this and vote, say, no, we're off, guys. We're going to join that European ship. We're going to get on board that solidarity project, that international peace project. And we quite like Dr. Daffern's theory of a European Union mediation service, actually, and we'd like to support that. And can we have it in Edinburgh? And by the way, can we have the next World Parliament of Religions in Edinburgh, which a friend of mine's trying to organise? So I think an independent Scotland will be a lovely place to be, and I'd be very happy to, I will be visiting. So that's Scotland. Now I want to finish with just a little bit of bad news about Trump. Oh dear, what can one say? I mean, poor old Marianne Williamson and the gang are trying to oppose him intellectually as I'm trying to oppose Brexit. He really is a most arrogant person, and he's reaching his nadir. The impeachment process is going to come to fruition, I think, this side of Christmas. I think he will be out. But his arrogance is so vast that he's going to cause as much trouble and misery as he can before he goes down. I had a dream last night. I don't normally share my dreams, but I do have sort of clairvoyant dreams. I want to share this one. It was revealed to me in my dream that Trump is the reincarnation of Nero. Gosh, where did that come from? I woke up with this, and it was very complicated. I recorded it. It's weird, isn't it? But you see, Nero was very clever, very charismatic, very narcissistic, kind of me. He also wanted to build a kind of golden palace in Rome, for which he was happy to kind of burn down lots of Rome. Now, what's Trump done? He's built these sort of golden towers, and his character is unbelievably Nero-esque. It's like everything is me. He even has a golden head of hair on. Very corrupt sexually, just as Nero was. Sleep with anything that is at all attractive, and even use physical force. Trump has been undoubtedly guilty of rape, although he pretends he hasn't, and he challenges people to prove it, because he also uses threats and violence, and just as Nero did. But he also gets great loyalty because, of course, having fabulous wealth, he can then buy people's loyalty. People are corruptible, and that's exactly what Nero did. Well, Nero also killed, St. Paul. He also killed St. Peter. He began the persecution of Christians in a mass persecution, and did the most horrific things. Eventually, the whole Roman state and the officers and the people of integrity turned on him, and they chased, and even generals came back with their legions marching on Rome to get rid of this guy, because he was demented, he was mad, he was corrupt, and he was evil, and he had to go. And eventually got the message, and he ran away, and then he killed himself. But all he ever wanted to be was an artist. Nero, to his dying breath, thought he was the good guy, and all these evil people like Christians and all the rest were against him. Now that's exactly what Trump thinks. It's exactly the same mentality. So, I don't know, my unconscious came up with the theory that Nero has now reincarnated as Trump. So you can make of that information what you want. I'm not going to vouch for it. All I'll say is that as a Jungian, I think it's possible that somebody can reincarnate the principles of a person, without necessarily being the incarnation of that person's soul. Either is possible. And it seems to me that Trump is doing a Nero-esque type of thing, at the very least. But he might also actually be the reincarnation of the actual chap, which is a horrific thought. And of course it would fit exactly, because what would a reborn Nero want to be? Well, he'd want to become the ruler of the most powerful military, the most powerful neo-imperialist state he could see, and that has to be the USA. Biggest army, most bombs, most corruptible, you can buy into it. And so there is some evidence that I might actually be onto something. It's at the moment it's a working hypothesis, and if any of you are clairvoyant, you can, tell me if I'm right or wrong, do your pendulums or whatever. But what it means is that those of us in opposition to this hyper-state USA led by a kind of neo-Nero, we have to be equally clever in our opposition. Christ said we have to be as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. How do we do it? How did they get rid of Nero first time? Well, they got everybody with any common sense or moral intelligence left to rally round, secretly at first, to oppose the guy. And that's what we're doing with the impeachment process. It's what those of us in the Brexit resistance movement are doing, because Brexit is Trump's baby. To wit, read Nero's baby. It's the kind of it's the attempt to destroy all the good that Christian, social, Catholic work by Pesch and Gundlach and all those moderate people saying we want a society based on love have built. No, Nero says smash it all down. Let's have a society based on conflict, hate, violence, terror, fear, extremes of wealth and extremes of poverty. That's Nero's vision of Europe and the world. And that's why he supports Brexit as much as he does. That's why Steve Bannon, has his as his sort of foot soldier has been organising the chaos that is Brexit behind the scenes with Data Analytica and Farage and the gang. These are Nero's foot soldiers. Well, be as wise as serpents, as innocent as doves. All we can do is oppose them with love. And that means, if Trump wants to ring me up and we'll have a chat, I'm not demonising the man. I'm demonising the policies and the thinking in the man and the karmic danger and cloud that I see in the man and the consequences. And so I'm saying that no, Europe can't afford this. And sorry, that's enough of that. Okay, so why would Trump be in alliance with Russia over this? Why did Trump and Putin get on so well? Let's turn briefly to look at this Russian madness, because one of the things that's come up in the last week since I last spoke to you